on the video?
Yeah, sure. Are you able to see, right?
Yes, I can see you. Just 1 minute. Harish is joining.
No problem.
Hey, Vaishali, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are able to hear you, Harish.
Hi,
Hi.
Harish.
Yep. So let's get started. Before getting into this technical discussions, Ramji, I would like to clarify about this one. So this is going to be a complete technical.
Okay.
So we're going to cover the technical stats which you have mentioned on your resume. Right?
Okay, no problem.
Yep. So please go ahead and walk me through your technical stats and experiences relevant to your projects.
Yeah, thanks for giving this opportunity, Harish. My name is Ramu. My friends call me as Ramanji or Ram, different names. Coming to, I have a total 12 years of experience in .NET. My career was started as an ASP.NET. After that, I was working with .NET MVC, presently working with the .NET Core, Microservices with Azure. I have good exposure on Azure services, like Azure Kubernetes service, container registry, function app, Azure app services, storage account, and Azure container instance. Using Azure Active Directory and creating of ADFS authentication by using Active Directory, using the Azure Elastic to send the notification, the log information to the Elastic, from Elastic to Kibana. I have good exposure of places like load balancing, and in terms of VNet and subnet creation, and as well as pass activity to pass services as well as SAS service too. I have good exposure on the different databases like SQL Server and or different like Azure storage account like NoSQL database like table storage. I have good exposure on entity framework. Coming to the client-side technology, I was working with the Angular and jQuery HTML2. I have completed a MCA from Nagarjuna University, and basically I got a lot of appreciations, which has been working with the different clients like US, UK, and APAC region and other regions. And I was working as a part of a Center of Excellence team to do the POCs for the different problem statement to provide the solutions with the current problem statement in the current project, or to help into the other projects as well.
All right, that's good. So let's get started with the technical discussion. So before getting into the actual way, so do you have experiences with event sourcing architecture or microservices?
Yeah, I have exposure on microservices like .NET Core and microservices and Azure, and I was using as a CQRS design pattern.
Okay. So let's have some discussion on microservices then. Okay. So can you explain me what is the use of middleware and what is the purpose we gonna use a middleware in our microservice architecture?
Yeah, middleware is the concept of creating the request and response in a pipeline. Basically, the middlewares in the microservices, we can create a middlewares in one. If you want to use these middlewares in the, for example, I have a requirement. I want to routing from one API to another API. Those can also be achieved by using the middlewares. And if you want to have the global edge exception handling, we can also go ahead with the custom middleware. If the predefined middleware will be able to will not be able to give us a particular request and response.
Not sure. So for routing, we can use the direct URL to hit the API, right?
Correct.
So
for example, I have an areas. I have an areas in. I want to separate the branching out of the request. For example, I have an employee and I have a department. And whenever the request is coming, I want to branch out of the current request based on the app.used when and map when. Okay, these kind of things we can able to achieve using the middlewares.
Okay. Have you worked with queues before? No.
Sorry?
Have you worked with queues?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say by using the queue services, I want you to achieve a transaction between a bulk database. So what are the ways to achieve that?
We can able.
So basically, I want to migrate my data from database to cloud computing to any microservices by using the queue. So what are the best ways to approach that?
We have the different design patterns are there to achieve it, but in my point of view, we can use the distributed transaction by using the queues. Queue has to maintain for each request. It has to maintain the. For example, I have the I can say that order is one of the service, and inventory is the another service. Two services. If there is order is placed, inventory has to be reduced. In this case, I want to maintain as an order queue as well as inventory queue, and order response queue as well as inventory response queue. In this case, if we need to maintain as a unique order ID, based on the order ID, I can update that status of the particular transaction, or I can able to provide as a compensated transaction on the both the databases. We can also achieve by using logic apps as well. We can also achieve by using the Sega pattern is a distributed transaction. We can use the we can pass as an order ID, and we can provide as some kind of if the success is happen, I want to update the status in the other queue. I want to put the message to the queue. The subscriber will read the message.
To the point. Yeah. I understand and agree to your point, but our requirement is to transact millions of data. So queue has certain limit which it can handle, correct?
Correct.
So how do we handle that case?
With you mean to say without using queues or with using queues we have
with using queues? Yeah, with using queues, but queues have some limit.
Yeah, right? Some data limit as well as
the data.
Correct.
So, but our requirement is to transact millions of data.
We can.
How do we approach that?
We can go ahead with other approaches, event hub as well. But in our case, we can go ahead with the partition, and we can use the partitioning the queue, and we can able to increase the queue, and the subscriber we can from the subscriber also we can able to scale out of the service bus.
Actually, increasing the queue won't be the solution for our problem, because the size of all data transaction, let's say that I have 10 lakhs of records, so it's a million of records, right? So if I was going to transact the million to a queue, then it might require to create a millions of queues, which is bad, and it is not even cost efficient for us. Correct?
Correct.
So, any other thoughts?
Maybe I am not exactly getting the question. What I'm thinking.
You want me to repeat the question? Or?
Yeah, can if possible, can you please reframe the question?
Yeah, sure. So our requirement is having a database with millions of records. So let's say that we have like 1 lakh of records, just 1 lakh of records, okay? And I want to transact that from my microservice A and to pass it to microservice using the queue.
Okay.
Why do we use queue here? Because it is a transaction of 1 lakh record, which is not possible with the direct HTTP call, because it will give us a request time.
Correct. Length as well.
Right?
JSON
yes,
request length.
Exactly. So that's why we are using a queue in
okay.
as a middleware. So what's the approach or best way to achieve that?
We can split the data, right? Instead of sending all at a time, we can split the data, and we can pass it to as a it's a kind of splitting the data, and once the sending the data, we need to update the some status is the record is updated or not to the back to the particular table, and it's a bunch of processing. It's not only for sending of all the data at a time. I can able to split that 1 lakh records into the 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 like that, and I can update the status back. Initially, while we are picking into those records, I can update the status is already picked. In those case, the next time of the request, I want to push it, right? It will not go automatically to the queue. I want to push it. At the time of pushing, publisher has to take.
Again, this is a business logic which we can't able to implement in queue service, right? So the process or the solution which you are giving can be handled with the services by pagination, but this is not possible in the queue service because queue doesn't know how to handle the data, or we can't able to know intimate that to handle this kind of business logic because it's not generic to any coding language.
Correct.
Agree?
Correct.
Yeah. So, do you have knowledge on workers?
Workers, as a background job on app services, I have the knowledge, and Windows service, I have the knowledge. Workers, I heard that one, I did not get a chance to
Okay. So,
expose
this kind of scenarios can be achieved through workers. So, that is why we are using workers.
Okay.
It is an individual process which will take care in the background process, whatever the business project will do.
Okay.
For the queues.
Yeah, it's a kind of, you mean to say, Windows service as well as web jobs like that, right?
But our requirement is on the cloud computing, so we can't go with it.
Okay.
That's for sure. Fine. Let's move on to the next topic. So, do you know what is event source architecture?
Event source architecture, I don't know.
Okay. Have you worked with multi-tenant architecture before?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, can you explain me how to handle the multi-tenant architecture in a single domain?
Okay.
Not a big overview. I just want a description how we going to use it.
Okay. I have multi-tenants in the sense each client has a separate database. Am I correct?
No. Every tenant or every, that's why I mentioned about single domain. So our single domain is going to have a single database, whereas our technical stacks will handle the multi-tenant.
Okay. Can you brief me about this problem statement, please? For example,
Sure.
what I'm thinking.
So let me give you an example.
Okay.
So let's say that I have a domain. So whatever the www domain name is, okay, that domain is being used by a customer who has his own customers.
Okay.
It's a many-to-many relationship. All right. So in this way, we are having many-to-many customers, whereas tenants been using the same domains with their own access and authorizations.
Okay.
Okay, this is the scenario of a multi-tenant architecture.
Okay, I got it.
So how do we achieve that?
Yeah, we have an abc.com is one of the domain, and we have the customer A is a customer which is having the different sub customers A1, A2, A3 like that. B is another customer B1, B2, B3 like that. We have to maintain as a master database or master table and a transaction table. For example, if you take as an US region is one of the ABC domain. Under US region, I am explaining. There is a master database and a child database. Master database which will configure as what are the customers which are going to use this application. And a transaction database, in this transaction database, we have to maintain the master unit ID as well as current unit ID, which will give the customer ID. These are the three columns. Whenever we are performing any of the transaction, we have to maintain these three columns on the transaction table. But we have to maintain this. For example, if I logged in, I need to get what is my current as a customer A1. I have logged in. I will try to perform the authentication and authorization based on the master configuration of the particular customer. It will be as a normal database authentication, single sign-on, as well as different sign-ons like OAuth to OpenID Connect. Different authentication based on the configuration. It will perform it, and it will be able to get the data. This based on this thing, I have that we need to maintain as a one of the ID in the URL. What is the customer ID? Or what is the particular login session related information we have to maintain. This session information we have to pass each and every request while we are performing any of the operation into the database, while we are getting of the data from the single database. But it seems to be single database, and we have to be filter it out based on the master unit ID and work child unit ID, as well as whatever the sub customers. Based on this thing, whenever there is a possibility, I have to join with the master database and master unit ID and the child unit ID and filter condition of the child sub customer ID.
Okay, so by using that, you're going to achieve it. So what if the child customer ID has its own child? How do you handle that? Because that is our system. Each customer can have his own customers.
Yes, master. For example, master customer ID is belongs to master table, master database, or master table, and based on this child customer ID, for example, the login belongs to master unit ID only, not for the child customers. And whenever we are logging in, I need to select this which customer is trying to perform an operation. This customer ID also we have to maintain, and we need to pass those child customer ID whenever we are performing of any of the operations on a particular application.
Okay, I think I got what I wanted. Fine. Do you have experience with client-side framework? So I have seen that you work with Angular 6.2.
Yes.
So how long have you worked with that?
I was working with 1 year.
Okay. So are you okay to take up questions on that, or?
Yeah, I'm ready to take.
Okay. So what is service worker in Angular?
Sorry, service?
Okay.
No idea.
Okay. So have you used PWA in Angular?
No.
How about IV renderer? Have you used IV renderer with your Angular application?
No.
Okay. So you are using your Angular application like a basic wise, or like?
Yeah, because I am as a lead, I want to review the code and helping the team members in terms of authentication and authorization using implementation of the guards and HTTP introspectors and parent and child component, and to make the loading of all the modules at a time into the by using the partially loading in a single page application, and whenever
Okay. Since you mentioned about your team, so I would like to ask you a question. So let's say that one of your peer is putting up a PR, let's say in a .NET code for a Git API. So what are the things you would check on that PR?
Can you repeat the question, please? I got some information.
One of your peer putting up a PR for Git all endpoint. Let's again take Git all customers endpoint.
Okay.
So he put up a PR for that particular endpoint. So what are the security things and what are the code review items which you would see on that PR?
Okay. First, there are couple of ways whether he is followed as a best practices or not. For example, get request, they have some standard. We have to pass the information in the URL. Whether the information he followed the correct naming standard or method conversions and class conversion and API conversions, and whether he mentioned as an attribute like in terms of the if you are using versioning, right? He has mentioning as versioning into the particular attribute level or not. And after that, I will try to understand whether the get request basically it will try to pass the some customer ID and perform the operation. While performing an operation, whether he has implemented as a try catch block or exception handling and null handling, as well as whether he has as a lead, we need to understand action method has some kind of a request format and response format. For example, if it is not found, if it is a succeed, if it is no result found, this response format also JSON format is unique for all the endpoints. If he has knows that those concept, whether he has followed OK response format, no response format, not found format, like that. And based on the summary text, the response format is nothing but status code, what is an operation, what is the summary text. If it is based on the summary text, it has to be displayed some kind of user friendly error message to the front end.
Okay. How about unit test cases?
Yeah, unit test cases also we have to do it. It's we have used the marking X unit and mark framework. We have to, yeah, at the time of reviewing with this, at the time of reviewing we have to.
So do you write your unit test cases after creation of the endpoint, or do you follow strict PDD approach?
After creation of endpoint.
Okay. So do you have experience with PDD before?
No.
Okay.
I know that theoretical, but I did not get a chance to work on any of the projects.
Fine. I think we pretty much covered everything. Let's quickly hop on to SQL part.
Okay.
So again, let's take a SQL Server for an example for Microsoft. I'm using a table A and table B, and I'm trying to join both of them to populate the matching values.
Okay.
Okay. So here I'm using table B as left join.
Okay.
To combine table A and table B. Okay.
Okay.
So if I want to have populate the records which is matching on the right side table, I would go for right join. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So in this case, what is the purpose of right join? If I can able to swap the master table with the child table. So I can get the same records by mapping the comparing the table B and joining the left join. Using the left join, I can use the table A records. Correct? In both ways, right join and the current query going to give the same records. Correct?
Correct.
So what is the purpose of using the right join here?
Left join will get the left record, right join will get the right records. What is the purpose of right join in this case?
Right join query can be achieved by using table B as a master table. Correct?
Okay. 1 minute. Let me share my screen. Is that okay?
Okay.
I just want to note that something. Table A. Left to it. Tab A is a master table. You meant to say? Are you able to see my screen? Hello? Hari? Hello? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you able to hear me? Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet. It shows a blank screen for me. Yeah, now I can see.
This is one table A is the master table, table B is the child table, right? You are talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tab A left join table B means all records, all left join will get all matched records from left table. All matched left join will get all the records from left and only matched records from right. This is what left join is talking about. And your tab B left join table A also will get a result.
So combination of these two queries gonna give us the same result.
Correct.
What is the use of using the right join here?
Okay. Right join, I want to get only the all the records from the right side child table. I don't want to whether the data is matching of master table to child table ID or not. I want to get all the child information to display the as part of my requirement.
Correct. So that can be achieved if I want to use the child table as a parent table, right? So both going to give me the same result. obviously.
Okay.
So then what is the purpose of the right join at this point?
AB, right? You are talking about.
Yep.
AB right join all the records from the this table. Right join all the records from this table. Right join. Yeah, I need to think about exactly the requirement here.
Okay. Fine, not an issue. Let's quickly move on to the last question. Let's say I have a temporary table and a CTE. Okay, I'm asking you to implement both of them into a stored procedure. So, what would be the purpose of using a CTE or a temp table in your point of view in a stored procedure?
Okay, a temp table which will try to get all the information from the main table. Whenever I don't want to, I have some of the processes which is trying to insert or delete or update under the main table. I don't want to disturb the table in terms of the locking or in terms of the blocking sessions. In this case, I can get that information to the temp table. And the CTE, basically, I don't want to create a session table, and I want to perform in memory to store the information in memory and trying to get the data immediately after performing the query, and it will give a performance more.
Alright. Okay, noted. Yeah, so that's what I got from my end. Any questions from your side?
Yeah, I just want to understand what is exactly the requirement over here. Is it what are the roles and responsibilities?
It's not about the requirement. I just wanted to cover all the technical stats which I mentioned in your resume.
Okay.
So that's how I gone through with these questions.
Okay, is that required?
Yeah, so it's completely about evaluating your technical stats from my end. Okay. So that's what I basically did.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Harry.
All right. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for the time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.